So every Memorial weekend, I'm reminded to be a little more forgiving, a little more empathetic, and try to put myself in other people's shoes. This is due to the fact that 12 years ago, over the Memorial weekend holiday, my dad passed away. It's also because of a little video made by Chick-fil-A. I'll explain and start with Chick-fil-A. It was December of 2011. Through work, I had learned a few things about the fast food company, including some of the reasons why they are so wildly successful. Interesting, Interestingly, one of the ways businesses are measured for success is sales dollars per square foot. So basically, how big is the business and how much revenue does it bring in? Now, fun fact, no other fast food business on the planet brings in more money per square foot than Chick-fil-A. The crazy thing is, no Chick-fil-A is open past midnight, and none are open on Sundays. So even with less hours and less days, they still beat everyone. And if you've ever been in a Chick-fil-A, you'll notice a huge difference in their customer service than at a McDonald's, Taco Bell, Popeyes, or any other fast food place. The difference is striking. They do an incredible job of building a team culture and training their people on how to treat customers. They consistently do it at all their locations. It's kind of funny. I remember I had a dealership in a rough part of Chicago where it was always challenging to get a quick bite to eat because of the slow, dysfunctional, and apathetic staff at all the nearby restaurants. And then one day, I saw a Chick-fil-A being built near this dealership. I laughed. I thought, okay, Chick-fil-A, good luck here. I remember going the first week it opened. The place was jam-packed. Yet sitting in the dining area, I was approached by multiple people asking if I wanted a refill on my drink. Everybody working there had a smile on their face and cordially said, "My pleasure." I even saw a customer drop their drink and literally 3 different employees raced to see who could get there first to clean it up. I was like, okay, Chick-fil-A, you win. So how do they do it? Well, there's not enough time here to go into all the details, but one thing stood out for me, and that is they require everyone who works there to watch a video that's called Everyone Has a Story. When I first started showing this video to my clients, I noticed that every time I had a decent amount of employees together, I'd show the video, and by the time the 3 minutes were up, there was at least multiple people without a dry eye. It was only 6 months later that I realized I'd be including myself. You see, my dad died of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. It spread so fast that as strong as my dad was, and pound for pound, I still have not met a stronger man than him. He was gone in less than 3 months. So I urge you to watch this video to understand why it hits people so hard. For me, it was watching the woman in the restaurant celebrating her 50th wedding anniversary, sitting at a table in the restaurant all by herself. The amount of pain I was seeing in my mom hit me like a ton of bricks the first time I showed that video after my dad's passing. There I was, standing in a room filled with the dealership owner, the executives, and the management team, and I couldn't even speak. So when the video ended, I recognized why Chick-fil-A requires every employee to watch this video before working in any of their restaurants. And that is to recognize that on any given day, multiple people around you might be going through more than you could ever know. These people could be customers of your business. They could be fellow employees. They could be family, friends, strangers, acquaintances. I know that after my dad's passing, I was not my normal self. I didn't realize it at the time, but I was short with people and my patience was incredibly thin. I remember getting upset with a woman at the front desk at a hotel I was staying at because something was wrong with my room. I was unjustly and overly angry with her, and while she handled it well, after cooling down in my room later, I ended up going back down and apologizing. And I'm sure many of us have been on the giving or receiving end of a situation like that. So when you watch that video, it's meant to remind you that if someone attacks you with their anger, try very hard to take a deep breath and not take things personally. Realize that in all likelihood, their anger has very little, if anything, to do with you. One of my proudest moments as a coach was when I arrived at a dealership and the service advisor raced up to me, excited to share how, as he and a fellow technician were both getting yelled at by a customer, how they looked at each other with the exact same thought at the exact same time. He said they both felt sorry for the guy and wondered what was going on in this man's life to make him react that way. They recognized there was more going on. In another example, and right after I was introduced to this video, even before my dad got sick, I was in a manager meeting where the sales manager completely threw the service manager under the bus in front of the entire leadership team. As the meeting ended, I quickly grabbed the service manager and pulled him into his office before he could explode on the sales manager. I explained the Chick-fil-A video and reminded him of how uncharacteristic this was of the sales manager. I asked him to take a different approach than one he was definitely going to be taking. My request was simple. I asked him, when he walked into that sales manager's office, instead of going off on him, simply start by asking the sales manager if everything was all right. Now, the service manager looked at me like I was crazy, but I reminded him of the 20 years the two of them had worked together and asked him to give it a shot. Well, about 2 hours later, as I was driving in my car, I got a call from that service manager. I picked up the call, and the very first words I heard were, "Thank you." He then went on to share that he calmed down and he took my approach and ended up finding out there was way bigger issues going on in that sales manager's life. And that had he not asked that questions, things would have gone in a much different and much worse direction. So in honor of my dad and all the incredible things he taught me, I wanted to share this wisdom with you, and I'd like to make one request. You can do it in his honor or in the honor of the many people who gave their lives for our country as we honor them this Memorial Day. And that request is this, that we step into the world today, tomorrow, the next day, and all your interactions you have with coworkers, with clients, family, friends, the person serving you coffee or lunch, the customer service rep on the phone, yeah, tricky one for me. Remind yourself that on any given day, any one of them might be dealing with things in their life that are much heavier than you could ever imagine. So whether you ask them if they're okay or simply treat them with kindness and respect, the worst that will happen is you might take a little grief if they're not acting themselves, but you'll make their pain a little bit more manageable that day for them. Thank you. And to my dad, I love you and miss you.